In today's video, I'm going to teach you unlock dimensions between grids. If you've ever tried to adjust grid spacing and felt like the grids were stuck in place, it's usually because a dimension is actively constraining them. Understanding how to release that constraint will give you the freedom to refine your layout without fighting the software. First, confirm that the grids you want to adjust are actually constrained by a dimension. Look for a dimension annotation that measures the distance between the grid lines. That dimension, not the grid itself, is what enforces the fixed spacing. When grids are constrained by dimensions, the key is to work with the dimension line directly. So click to select the dimension line that runs between those grids. You'll know it's selected when it highlights and you see small control grips and context cues around it. In many views, a small lock icon appears near the dimension value or close to the witness line markers. If you don't immediately see the icon, zoom in slightly or hover near the dimension text until it appears. With the dimension selected, click the lock icon to unlock it. The icon typically changes state from a closed padlock to an open one or from a solid to a lighter appearance, indicating that the constraint has been removed. This single action is what releases the fixed spacing constraint. You're not deleting the dimension, you're simply telling the model that this dimension is no longer driving the position of the grids. Once the lock is open, the fixed relationship between those grids is no longer enforced. The dimension will remain as a reference measurement, but it won't hold the grids in place. This is useful when you need to adjust a layout, test different spacing, or resolve coordination issues without battling a rigid constraint. If the lock icon doesn't appear, double check that you've selected the dimension object rather than the grid line itself, and make sure you're in a view where the dimension is visible and editable. Also note that pinned elements are different from locked dimensions. A pin stops movement, while the lock controls a constraint through the dimension. A few practical tips. Work in a clear plan view for best visibility, zoom in so you can precisely target the lock icon, and verify that you're clicking the correct segment if the dimension string includes multiple distances. After unlocking, monitor any dependent elements that might reference those grids so your design intent stays in